Welcome back to another sports podcast, everybody. It's exactly what the world needs is another sports podcast. We're the Sweaty Trio, and we're glad to be back. Today we have a special guest, somebody who is bigger than the game. He's the host of the BigCeaz Show, a diehard Florida Panthers fan and Dallas Cowboys fan.
I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
And genuinely is one of the most inspiring dudes in sports media. This isn't just another guest. This dude's got heart, hustle, and the kind of energy that could fire up a whole locker room. Our guest today is living proof that passion beats circumstance every time. He's a Florida Panthers super fan who's become a family to the team, a motivational speaker who's turned every challenge life threw at him into motivation for others. You've seen him on social media, you've seen him on national TV, you've seen him on Barstool and more. The man himself, the BigCeaz, Cesar Lucero.
Holy shit! I don't know whether to throw you into a locker room, or stuff you in a locker, or like give you props for that intro.
See, the thing is, I wore my green hat today in lieu of my Eagles hat, which I couldn't find. We are technically rivals, but today we're gonna have to put that aside to talk about things that are bigger.
Well, congratulations on getting Phillips. That's a great addition.
How cooking?
Howie's cooking now. Who the hell knows what Jerry's gonna do tonight? He's already stirred the pot. But you know, unfortunately, we have Jerry. You guys have Howie Roseman, and yeah, I can't say much to that. At least my Panthers are better than your Flyers. So.
Absolutely. We're actually Toronto Maple Leafs fans, which is kind of even
Oh, that's
sad.
even worse.
I know.
I was trying to give you guys the benefit
sucks,
of the
man.
doubt.
Yeah.
I know. We're from Toronto.
By the way, my heart goes out to you guys. I don't know if you're Blue Jay fans.
We are.
Okay, so I was actually rooting for you guys. I was rooting for Biz, and but you guys need to ban his ass from every Toronto sporting event. There is no way that guy should be allowed to be in anywhere near the arenas or ballparks at all.
So, geez, man, I need to ask the biggest question that's been on my mind since we knew that this interview was going down. I want to ask how it feels to be the first man to get Paul Bissonnette to spank himself live on his own podcast.
Dude, that was the funniest moment ever. Man, just that whole like the banter between me and him. It was. I didn't think it was gonna turn out the way it did. Shouts out to him, Spittin' Chicklets crew, RA, in the background in the scenes. Mike Grinnell, he's such a genuine person. Ryan Whitney, I still have some beef with him. He didn't have enough balls to come out and say hello to me, or after we beat them. So, but you know what? It's all right. It's all right. I'll let it slide this time. But no, like you guys said, that was such an incredible run. And for him to even give me the opportunity to like go back and forth with him, it was probably one of the most funnest interactions I've had online that I could ever remember. It just made the playoffs even more fun.
Absolutely. I mean, for us, Biz is kind of like one of our dream guests. Like everybody in Canada loves Biz. I mean, everyone I think around the world loves Biz.
Honestly, like all that shit talking aside, he is probably one of the nicest people I've met.
Yeah.
I remember Game 6, or no, it wasn't Game 6. I'm sorry, it was Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals, in Florida. He came to our section, and he knew where I was sitting. I was like, oh shit, and then he like gave me the biggest hug ever. Was so awesome. Introduced himself to everybody in my section. Everybody was so happy. People are like, "Can I take a picture?" He took a picture with every person that asked. He didn't have to do that. It was genuinely such a great guy, and we got to watch hockey, got to talk during the game. But I had to tell him to leave because they ended up tying the game, Edmonton, and we ended up losing in overtime. And I was like, no, there's no way this fucker's coming back in our section again.
I mean, with that, like you have an unmeasurable amount of energy. And I want to ask where you pull that from. Is it family, music, faith, or is it just a bunch of caffeine?
It's funny you say about caffeine. I love coffee. I love coffee. I've always have to have like my 2 shots of espresso before every game. So that's like my ritual. Living here in Miami, obviously, cafecitos are like known like one of the best coffee drinks out here. But honestly, I really don't need that. It just my passion for the game. I hate losing. I think I hate losing more than love winning. And just like Matthew Kachuk, he was the perfect person to fill the void of this Florida Panthers of making it past the the second round and being up to the Tampa Bay level. And I think I've said it on all my platforms that I've come on. You know, we wanted to be the standard of Tampa Bay of winning those three Stanley Cups. And who would do better than to have Matthew Kachuk when he first got traded in that press conference? He said, I hate Edmonton, but I hate Tampa Bay even more. So that right there is like, dude, that's my guy.
Welcome
That's
to
my
the
guy right there.
family. Yeah,
Yes. Yep.
absolutely. Do you mind walking us through how osteogenesis imperfecta kind of impacts your life every day? Tell us your story and your experiences that go along with that in your daily life.
Yeah, sure, Tyler. I would walk you through it, but obviously, I can't walk, but I'll roll through it here for a bit. um, no, in all seriousness, I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, and
Look, I'm sorry, dude. That was
That was
amazing.
that
so
was a pretty
that was
good one, right?
awesome.
Oh my
So smooth,
God.
so smooth.
I was secretly praying that you were gonna have that sense of humor, and as soon as you walked, oh my God, as soon as you came onto the pod and you said that shit, I knew you were gonna fucking nail it, dude.
Dude, I think you were related to Biz or something.
Sorry, please, Caesar, go ahead, man.
Oh shit, that was great. Um, so yeah, I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, and there's actually like several types of it, and I was actually born with the most rare condition, the highest type, which is type 3. I've had I've had more than 250 fractures throughout my life,
Wow.
more than 18 surgeries. Um, so growing up, it was really tough. I remember in elementary school. I went to school from when was it? Pre-K to first grade, and then during second grade, I had surgeries, and I had to be homeschooled. So from second grade to fifth grade, I was homeschooled because of all the surgeries, all the therapy, and all this stuff that I couldn't go to school. And then from middle school on up, I went through regular school. But during those times, it was really tough because I'm a very social person. I love hanging out with friends. And growing up, I loved playing out in the street with all my friends and stuff. Even though I could break a bone from every little slight move that I make, like if I cough too hard, I can break a bone. Um, but that didn't stop me from playing football. I would always play football with my friends. We would always play two-hand touch, flag football, whatever. I was always a quarterback, and just never put any limitations to myself. And honestly, I owe it all to my parents because they never stopped me from doing what I wanted to do. And I think that has made me the person that I am and why I never put myself in to saying that I can't do anything because I think if you put yourself into limiting yourself onto different things that then you're never going to accomplish anything in life. Just like in hockey, if you don't shoot the puck, you're never going to score, right? So,
Exactly.
I mean, that's how I live life every day.
It's awesome that you have that outlook on life. It's really is truly moving, honestly.
Thank you. Thank you. And also my friends too, I can't thank them enough. They don't treat me like I'm a person in a wheelchair, they treat me like one of a normal person, a regular person that hanging out with them, and I think I attribute that to all the friends that, you know, are always there to support me and always there to, just be me, don't just because I'm in a wheelchair, don't sit there and feel sorry for me and stuff like that. So that's the biggest thing that I take.
So
Very
you
nice.
mentioned football growing up. I've done a little bit of research and I noticed that you used to coach high school football. I want to ask kind of how you got into that and where your love of football came from.
Man, I love football. I remember 1993, 92, I moved to South Florida, and my dad was always a big Cowboy fan. And obviously, you kind of get thrown into when your parents start watching like sports and stuff. you're right there watching it with them. And my dad was always yelling at the screen, like, "What the hell are you doing?" And this, so I would always sit there and watch it with him. And watching Deion Sanders, he was probably one of my favorite players just because every time he would score, he would do that silly dance. It was the prime time dance. It was so awesome. I loved it. Um, and then just watching Emmett Smith, getting to see him watch having him or watching him beat the record of the rushing title against the Seahawks, and just different things like that. The team really, I grew into it because of my dad. And it's funny because I think I was 7 years old, 7 to 8 years old, maybe a little bit older. Um, it was in '97, so I would say I was 11. And I wrote a letter to Troy Aikman and a few other players. I'm not going to name them. But Troy Aikman was the only one to send me an autograph picture of him practicing the Super Bowl hat that they won in '96 or '95. Um, and I was like, man, that is so freaking awesome. And at that age, you're like, you idolize these guys. You want to be
Yeah, for
like them,
sure.
right? And for him to go out of his way to do that, I was like, you know what? I'm sticking with the Cowboys no matter what. They're my team. And but going back to your question, I know I'm rambling here, but um, coaching, like football, was my number one love. I just love the way, um, I don't know. It's an American thing, I think, and it's the passion of the offense. Like I was into like the offensive line, Nate Newton, Leon Lett, all these maulers. Nobody really talks about the offensive line, and Dallas always had like a top tier offensive line. Those they would always like everybody wanted to be like the Cowboys offensive line. So, in high school, my best friend Heimel, or who was at the time, my teacher, he was a mentor of mine. Um, he's like, "What do you want to do in life? What do you want to, what do you want to accomplish?" And I was like, I wish I could play football. I really love the sport. And he's like, well, you can do the next best thing. Maybe you can coach, maybe you can scout, maybe you can do something around the game. And I was like, that's a good idea. And he ended up contacting the head coach of the high school team. And he's like, Caesar's a big sports passionate freak. He loves football. I think he would be a great asset to your team. And little did they know that I was actually going to take it serious. I remember the first day of practice, he told me to be there at 6:30, 7 o'clock, because that's when they were going on the field. I ended up being there at 5 o'clock in the morning, man. I was so
Holy shit.
stoked. I was stoked, guys. I was like, you know what? I'm going to prove to them that, I'm really serious about this. And I'm not just here just to like, just be like a mascot or something like that, right? I was really adamant about getting that to show the players that I want to do something and help the team win. So that's how it all started. I coached football for 4 years, and it was probably one of the best times of my life. Um,
Nice.
Especially because I don't know if you guys watch Friday Night Lights, the show or the movie. It's literally like that. It's a family, and there's nothing like sports in general.
It's nice. I kind of want to ask. So you're a Panthers super fan and a Dallas Cowboys super fan as well. And kind of like you said, you kind of were born into like the golden age of the Dallas Cowboys. And let's say the last, 25 years or so, they haven't had the greatest run.
It's
What's
been
your
30 years since we've been to the
There
Super
you
Bowl.
go. 30 years. How are you feeling about Jerry Jones these last 30 years?
The biggest mistake was him firing Jimmy Johnson, honestly.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't fire him, if his ultra ego didn't get in the way, I feel like Jimmy Johnson had an opportunity to win at least two more, three more Super Bowls. And Troy Aikman even said it in one on the Afterlife on the NFL Network when they did an Afterlife film on his career. He's like, I was just sick and tired of like Barry Switzer just letting guys do whatever they wanted, and I truly felt like Jimmy Johnson just had the control of the team. And even though they did win that one Super Bowl, but I just feel like Jimmy Johnson was like the guy that ended up pushing them over the top because he was one of those no nonsense Bill Belichick kind of guys.
Right.
And I think that everything, it's a curse, man. I think Jerry Jones kind of cursed our team ever since that moment of letting him go.
What about tell us about the Big C show? When did you start doing that? How did you get so successful doing that? Walk us through what that was like for you.
Man, yeah, so I've always wanted to do something in sports. I don't know what it was. But I went to college here in South Florida, community college. I got my associate's degree. And then my dad got sick. So life happens. He ended up passing away 2019 from complications and stuff. So I had to literally, after getting my associate's degree, I had to stay home, take care of the family, get a job. And so life took over. And I didn't get an opportunity to finish school. But you got to do whatever you got to do to help raise the family, right? My dad's always been there for me through all the struggles and stuff. So now it was time for me to be the man of the house and help take care of him and just put bread on the table, right? So, but I got an opportunity to be a teacher assistant at a high school, and it helped me develop like mentoring to other kids and stuff like that. So it was a great opportunity. I worked for the school board for more than 7 years. And then last year, or not last year, I'm sorry, 4 years ago. Wow, time flies by. 4 years ago, I got diagnosed with chondrosarcoma, which is a bone cancer. So I had to like literally just stop work and oh man, it's like man, nothing. Every time I want like into a situation where I'm like, everything's going great, and then something happens. But I knew I had to like keep my mentality like look straight forward, and I knew there was something that I could definitely beat. There's so many things that happened to me throughout my life. And I was like, this is nothing. I'm gonna beat this. This is. They caught it in time, and this is just a bump on the road that I'm just gonna get through. And and then I had surgery the year the Florida Panthers went to the Stanley Cup. Um, and it was, I believe, 2022, and that was the year they went against Vegas. And I had surgery in my right knee, and I ended up having cardiac arrest. So I ended up dying for 3 minutes on the table, and I ended up coming back to life, and I was on an induced coma for about 3.5 weeks. My best friends ended up going to the playoff games during that year, and because they knew, they're like, we're not selling these tickets, because if Caesar found out that we sold these tickets, he'd be so pissed. So let's go out there and enjoy the game for ourselves. But like going back to your question, I know I'm rambling, but I'm kind of, I decided like now that I beat cancer, we won the Stanley Cup. I'm like, I want to do something in sports. So I started the BigCeaz Show because I love sports and I love the passion that it brings, and it gets you away from all the crap that you deal with during the week and all the stuff that you hear political or any other of that stuff. For those 3 hours, you're locked in. And as being a big super fan, it's like you're part of the team. You're a big family. You got all your friends and family that go to the games, people that you cheer the games with, that you cry with, and being able to enjoy that moment. So I started the podcast because I want to share moments from different athletes, different people on how have sports inspired them to be who they are, or where they like, how has sports helped them be the person that they are. Because it's not always about winning or losing, right? It's about like the teamwork, the dedication, and everything like that. And I want people to hear other people's stories about their sports journey.
Either you're an absolutely amazing human being and an inspiration. I just need to say that based on everything you've just walked us through over the last 20 minutes, you're a fucking king. You need to know that. You're
Yeah,
you're an
this
Thank you,
inspiration
man.
to people.
Thank you,
you
guys.
are the most, probably the most resilient person I've ever met, and I've only known you for like 20 minutes.
No, thank you, guys. And I do it because I live in the moment, and that's why when I started the bander with Biz, it's like I live one shift at a time, one period at a time, and one game at a time. And I think that's how we got to live life because you're never guaranteed tomorrow. You never know what's going to happen. And so live in the moment, enjoy the best that you can, and don't ever feel sorry for yourself. Like always be the best person that you can be.
Tell us about the Cats and Rats podcast. Is that something you're doing throughout the year? You making appearances on it? Let's get a little
I love it.
a little dive into that.
I love it. I love those guys. Shouts out to Kirby, Nick, uh, and all those guys over there. And Cody. Cody's a great guy. It's funny because I don't know if you guys are on X, but um, Kirby started spaces for every game after every game. So that's how I found those guys. I started dropping in on their spaces, and it was a great platform to talk about the game when you lose or when you win. Like a lot of those guys really taught me about hockey too. Like I knew the sport. Like football was my number one love. I knew more about
Yeah.
football than I did about hockey.
Mhm.
And just being on spaces on X, it really helped me learn more about the game. Helped me learn more about the players and what was going on with trades and things like that. And Kirby and I, we share so many things in common. It's crazy. He actually lives in Canada, outside of Calgary. So, he gets a lot of bunter from the Edmonton fans. His family is actually Edmonton fans. So, we literally would talk for hours and hours about how he's like, I can't take a loss from Edmonton. My family's just gonna. It's crazy. But yeah, so Kirby is the main guy who started the Cats and Rats podcast, and he lives in Canada. And just like I don't know, we just hit it off great. They invited me on their podcast one day, and I was like, hey man, I would love to help out anytime I could help out, and we just slowly just became, really good friends, and being in Broward College and college here at my associate's degree, I ended up taking media classes. So a lot of like the graphics on the screen are done by me. So
Oh,
I
very
do
nice.
everything for them. I help them edit. I help them put the overlays. All that stuff is I do anything that I can help out, and they welcome me with open arms, and that's how we got started, and that's how I became part of the Cats and Rats podcast as well.
I'd
You're
love to
just a
ask.
jack of all
Awesome.
trades.
Yeah.
What's
I'd love
that?
to. You say you're a jack of all trades.
Oh yeah, I try to be, man. I try to learn different things, and it's always fun to learn something every day. Like even though, because you never know when you're gonna use it too. So yeah,
Build an arsenal of skills, right?
yeah, for sure.
I want to ask, where did the switch from, because you're saying that the NFL was the love of your life, but where did this switch from being like the most diehard killer Cowboys fan to the most diehard killer Florida Panthers fan?
It's crazy because I actually became a fan in '96, so I was so young. John Van Beesbrook came to my elementary school, and he brought his goalie pads, his mask, and everything. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like this guy's like, like those pads are almost as big as my wheelchair. Like I thought that was the coolest thing ever. But yeah, man, I fell in love, and that was the year of the Rat. That was the year that they ended up making the Stanley Cup final against Colorado, and man, it was such a fun run. I remember I was like. I actually cried when they lost, man. I was so upset because it was such a magical moment, right? They just came into the end of the league 3 years ago, and here they are in the Stanley Cup Finals. It was unbelievable. But yeah, I was a fan, but I wasn't a super fan until maybe 2015, 2014, when my dad got sick. So, um, my little brother, he's not blood related, but I consider him my brother. His name was Sean Tovar, and my mom used to babysit him since he was like 3 months old. He's a really good friend of ours. So he's basically a brother. We basically raised him here in our family, and he actually passed away 3 years ago, before they won the Stanley Cup. So growing up, he used to always like hang out with me because I was always at the house and stuff like that. And I used to take him to the games. He used to get on the back of my wheelchair, and the arena is literally like 5 miles from my house. So we ride my chair from my house to the arena all the time. And we're like, you know what? There's a game on. Tickets are cheap. Let's go. Why not? So we literally would ride to the arena. Man, I miss him so much. Just winning the Stanley Cup was brought back so many memories, and I know they did it for him. I know he would be very proud of it. So, but yeah, John Van Beesbrook was the one who got me into hockey, and I was hooked ever since.
That's amazing. So on the Panthers, I know you've been very active with the organization themselves, had a lot of positive interactions with the players. As Leaf fans, we're trained to hate Brad Marchand from his Boston days, and obviously now we're trained to hate Sam Bennett and Matthew Tkachuk. However, everything I've seen online and heard about in interviews is that they're exceptional people. Tell us about your experience with them. I know you were doing stuff with them at the parade. Like, just walk me through that
Just
experience in your life.
man, it's unbelievable. And kind of going a little bit back to 2016. My little brother and I, because we were so bad back then, they used to let us go downstairs where they would come out of the locker room, and we used to wait for the players down there and just to meet them after the games. My brother used to love that. He would. I remember this one time. He asked Aaron Ekblad. He's like, "Can I touch your beard?" And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead. Why not?" So, but those guys in general, like, there's nothing like hockey players. I'm sure you guys know. They're truly amazing athletes. But not only are they amazing athletes, they're so tremendous people off the ice. And I don't know if it's because they're from other countries or whatnot, but they really care more about their fans than any athlete I've ever met. They're truly, in my opinion, number one. And it all started because, my interaction with Biz. It just Matthew Kachuk, I guess, and his family saw Spittin' Chicklets, the episode that I was on. And then, Matthew told me, he's like, dude, you were a big force in our win. He's like, you were the MVP, C's. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, we saw your banter with Biz, and we our guys are like, we got to win this for C's. We can't let him down. So just for him to tell me that, I'm like, man, that is so cool. Like, you guys don't even know it. It was amazing, and like going to Club 11, it was probably the best time of my life because I ended up quitting drinking when I found out I had cancer, so 2.5 years. But I told my friends, I'm like, if I ever have a chance to drink out of the Stanley Cup, that's the one time I'm gonna do it. So little did I know I was gonna get waterboarded, but it was probably the best moment of my life. Matthew Kachuk is truly the best person I've ever met. Just for him to let me share that moment with the players. It was an incredible feeling. I can't thank them enough. His whole family truly awesome. His mom, Chantel, is such a nice person. It was crazy because I was at a game and we were I guess she was getting some sandwiches in between the intermission, and there's a Coors Light section where all the people go, and there's live music in the intermission, and we're all hang. That's usually where we hang out during the intermissions and stuff. Here she comes. She's like, "Caesar, Big C's." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "I'm Chantel, Matthew's mom." I'm like, "What?" Matthew's mom recognizes Big C's. What's going on? She's like, yeah, can I take a picture? My family loves you. I'm like, dude, I freaking love you guys. You guys are amazing. And it was just moments like that, just show you like how awesome they are as people. And you can kind of tell like why Matthew Kachuk and Brady Kachuk are the way they are. And Marchand, the week before with the his best friend's daughter who passed away, for the organization to allow him to do that, I mean, hands down, that's freaking unbelievable. You don't really see that in other sports, right? Um, and it just goes to show you that we're a big community, and I think the Panthers organization's owners, Benny Viola, shouts out to the Viola family, really great people. they do a great job to allowing the fans be a part of this, because he could have easily sold this team and or moved this team to Winnipeg or to wherever they wanted to move him. But he's like, nope, we're gonna keep him here. We're gonna win a Stanley Cup for South Florida. We're not going anywhere. And it truly starts from the top.
To that point, you've won 2 Stanley Cups in a row, but then preseason rolls around, Barkov goes down with the non-contact injury in
Yeah.
practice, which sucks because even though he plays for Florida, he's honestly one of my favorite players. But Chuck,
He's
out
so
till
he's so underrated. For
he's
so many
awesome.
years, there's a lot of Panther fans giving him banter and stuff. I was like, guys, you watch. He's not there. You're gonna see how valuable he is. So, but no, they've turned around a lot of these fans. They know how important Barkov is.
And with Kachuk being maybe out till
Yeah.
January after Christmas break, do you think maybe there's a third Stanley Cup in a row, or is it let's
Ooh.
just play it out and see what happens?
Well, honestly, it's being in 3 Stanley Cup Finals is almost impossible.
Oh yeah,
Especially nowadays with the parity in the league, right? I mean, look at the Montreal Canadiens; they're killing it right now. Chicago's playing really well. Boston's not that far off. I mean, they're playing pretty good too. So the parity in the league is really legit. And it's gonna be hard to go back to a Stanley Cup. I'm not saying it's impossible. But once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. And we saw that with Florida, what, 3 years ago when they were a wild card team. I mean, they literally beat the best team in the league with the most points they had, right?
yeah.
In any other league year. So, I mean, if anybody could do it, we got the right guys in the locker room. And like I said, Matthew Tkachuk, we got Sam Bennett. If Matthew comes back, I think we'll be a little bit better situation. And don't also count out Alexander Barkov. I mean, he's walking around like nothing happened. I don't know what water is in Finland, but they need to give me some of that so I can start running around here. So, but no, honestly, it's going to be hard. I'm not going to say we're going to go to the Stanley Cup because that'd be me being like Biz. This is our year. This is our no. Fuck that. I'm gonna live to my to what I always say: one shift at a time,
One
one
shift at a
period
time.
at a time, one game at a time.
I can honestly say, even if Biz tells us that this is the year, this is not the Leafs' year.
No, it's
Yeah,
not the year.
well, I think he fucking jinxed you guys after going to Game 7 and the Blue Jays. Like, what is he doing?
He could have stayed home and maybe we would have finished in Game 6. Like, what's wrong with it? We already know that Toronto Game 7 is the scariest thing ever.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
it's oh man, but you guys I think Game 7 last year, like against Toronto. I wasn't as nervous as a lot of people were. Um, I just think that the thing is, Florida doesn't care where they play. They could be in Edmonton. They don't care. Like everybody's so tight knit, and I think AJ Greer too said it a couple times in the podcast. Like the locker room, even after they lose, they're so loose. They're like, okay, we just got to win tomorrow. It's all right, guys. We're good. Like they have no pressure on them. So, and after being back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, I mean, what do they got to lose?
Yeah, fair enough.
I
Do
mean,
you have, you've been a Florida fan for over 20 years now. Do you have a favorite all-time Panther? I don't mean past, current. I mean, my favorite Florida Panther of all time was Roberto Luongo. I think that's the easy answer, or Ole Jokinen. Those are probably the
man,
two that I think of when
you
I think
know,
of Florida in that time.
I always get asked that question, right? And I don't really, or say, have a all-time favorite, but I have a couple of favorites. Jonathan Huberdeau is one of them, even though he doesn't play for us. He's such a nice guy, great person. I remember going to a Hooters down here, and he ended up
Nice.
noticing who I was, and this was before any of that biz stuff. And he's like, "Hey, you're Caesar, right?" And I was like, "Oh, crap, Huberto recognizes who I am. And he's like, I'd like to introduce you to my family. And he literally just brought me over to his table and he introduced me to his whole family. And, just shit like that was like, wow, man, this guy's awesome. So I had that personal feeling. So now you can imagine when I found out when he got traded. I was like, are you kidding me? I was honestly heartbroken. But then when I found out who we got, then I was like, okay, maybe it'll work out. Like, I love you, Hoovy. You're my guy. But we got Matthew Kachuk. Like that. So yeah, I mean, Huberto's one of them. Luongo. I loved Ali Okinen. Uh, Yamir Yager when he came for a couple of years. He was so awesome. Just brought that energy to the building. Everybody was so hyped and making the playoffs again for in a long time. And who else? I'm trying to think. And of course, the Beezer, Rob Van Beesbrook. So, um, and Pavel Bure. Pavel Bure, the Russian Rocket man.
Rocket, yeah.
I've never seen a wrist shot like his ever. He had such a tremendous shot, and being able to go to a game as a kid and seeing him play was incredible.
It was finally nice to see, best on best Canada versus US in the Four Nations.
Yes.
I expect you're tuning into the Olympics. What are your
100%.
hopes for the roster? Do you think the US can win the gold? Do you think they can beat Canada? Because I don't.
Nope, not a chance.
All right, guys. Do I have to start shit with you too?
Absolutely. Bring it on, C's. Let's go.
All right. No, but dude, Canada's got a legit roster. A legit roster. It all depends. Maybe Matthew Kachuk gets healthy enough that they put him on the roster. So we'll see what happens. Bennett hasn't been playing too well lately, so we'll see if he's gonna stay on the roster for you guys. Um, I mean, the good thing is that Canada-US rivalry, watching it in Four Nations, was probably the best hockey I've seen in a long time.
Oh, it
Probably
was so
ever.
awesome.
Probably ever, right? It just for Brady Kachuk, Matthew
Olympic.
Kachuk, everybody just like, dude, just throwing the gloves down and just like politics aside, like this was like we're better than you. Like it just brought everybody like even people that I know that don't watch hockey were like, when is the the USA Canada game on? I was like, wait a
Right,
minute,
yeah,
you
for
don't
sure.
watch hockey. And he's like, I don't care, bro. We're playing Canada. It was just incredible, right? And I could only imagine the atmosphere it was being there. So, although this is the Olympics, the format is a lot different. It's not going to be as physical, but it's still going to be entertaining. And
For
we
sure.
still have to, and you guys still have the bragging rights. So, I think this is our year to take it from you guys.
No,
Just
I was
I
saying,
don't know. We'll
imagine
see.
if they can add fighting to Olympic hockey. I remember we were all
Oh
watching
my
the stream,
gosh.
and I forget who dropped the gloves. I think,
Chuck and Hagel.
yes, I was gonna say Hagel.
Chuck
And we're all
and
sitting there
Hagel.
like, can they fight? This is they can fight. Say it, Joe.
Dude, and literally Brady Kachuk's like, okay, no, my brother ain't gonna do it just for like I gotta get in there. And then he does it. I was like, this is fucking awesome. Let's fucking go. I wanted to go out there and fight for them.
It was so
Where's
much fun
Biz?
to watch.
Where's Biz at?
Big season Biz 1-on-1 at the Bell Center.
Let's go.
I'm putting the house on Big C's, man. Biz couldn't hang in the fourth round. C's, man,
Absolutely.
this was an unbelievable interview. You're an absolute legend. You're an
Thank you,
inspiration to
guys.
all of us. Take the opportunity to tell people where they can find you and what you're working on.
Yeah, man. You guys can find me at the BigCeaz Show on YouTube, Cesar_inspires on Instagram or on X, BigCeaz. You can also follow my website. I'm selling merchandise on there, Busy Boy T-shirts, the one period, one shift at a time T-shirts. Yeah, I mean, I'm just living life, enjoying my sports, enjoying every moment, and hopefully the podcast gets up and going. And my goal is to get my own studio and then get people to come in and stuff like that. And hopefully one day when you guys are in Florida, get you guys to come on.
Hell
You
yeah.
bet, man.
would
I
be
was
awesome.
thinking about it when you said you're 5 miles away from the stadium. We were thinking we have a family friend who's like, yeah, they have a house in Florida. And when we go and stay, we never noticed how close the stadium was. So if we're ever in Florida, we're 100% messaging you. We're
Bro.
going out to the game.
Oh, you guys got to go. You guys got to go. We'll give you a little tour. Party it up after or whatever. We'll definitely make this. We'll give you guys a nice welcoming for sure.
You're awesome, man. And we hope we can get you back on the pod in the future. We want you to be a friend of the pod. We love your story and we love your
Definitely.
energy. And
Anytime, guys. You know I'm always welcome too. And keep doing
Love
what
it.
you guys are doing. Keep killing it. And you guys will eventually get a cup, but just not this year.
That's the prayer. That's the fucking hope and dream, C's.
We knew the dagger was coming. We just had to wait for it.
Sorry, guys.
no, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and get sweaty with the boys in the locker room. And for everyone at home, make sure that you're liking, sharing, and subscribing. Make sure you follow the BigCeaz on everything. This guy is a legend, and I think he has as much hockey knowledge in his pinky finger than I have in my entire body. So
Maybe.
so please,
Thank
everyone
you,
at home,
Cesar.
make sure you stay sweaty.
Thank you so
Sweaty.
much,
Cesar, give
man.
us that stay sweaty.
Let's go. Stay sweaty, boys.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thanks, Cesar.
Love
Have
it.
a great night, man.
Take care, guys.